Hey, what's up you guys, it's Caboose XBL bringing you another Batman v Superman video, and today what we're going to be talking about is most, if not all, the Easter eggs in Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. Now, there probably are going to be some Easter eggs that I missed, and for when we get to the end of the video, if there are some that you may have noticed that I've missed, please leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Also, you have been warned. Spoilers ahead. If you have not seen this film yet, I highly suggest clicking off this video or leaving a like, going out to watch the film, coming back to your likes, and watching this video. With all that said, we're going to get into the Easter eggs now, so if you're sticking around, it's because you've seen the film or you just wanted to get spoiled for you. Either way, let's get right into this. Starting off with some of the obvious Easter eggs in this film. Number one being the fact that Bruce Wayne was there during the events of Man of Steel. This is something that was established to us in the trailers, but we see it played out in this film, and we know a lot of the reason that Bruce Wayne has this hatred for Superman is because people that he knows and probably cares about were brutally killed when the building came crashing down after Zod unleashed his lasers from Man of Steel. We see that entire scene play out, and then we see this complete animosity that Bruce Wayne has towards Superman by the end of that sequence. Moving on, we also see the Dark Knight Returns armored suit brought to life in this film, straight out of the comic books. It's fantastic. Thought I'd point that out for those of you who haven't read the Dark Knight Returns. Moving on, we also see that there is a dead Robin in this DC cinematic universe, for his suit is on display in the Batcave with the spray painting on it saying, "Ha ha ha, joke's on you, Batman," alluding to the fact that the Joker is the one to have killed this Robin, very much so how it is in the comic books with the death in the family storyline. And last but certainly not least, we see the death of Superman play out in this film from the hands of Doomsday himself, very much how it is in the comic books. We also see a nice little nod to his suit when he returns, as there is a silver S on Superman's coffin. But that pretty much concludes all the obvious Easter eggs that I've caught in Batman v Superman. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty, some of the really cool Easter eggs that we saw in this film. Starting off, of course, with the Dark Knight Returns imagery. We see a lot ripped right out of the pages of the Dark Knight Returns. Straight off the bat, we see with Bruce Wayne's parents' death, something that is taken out of the comic, which is, of course, the way Martha Wayne dies, as the gunman puts the gun inside her necklace, shoots, and has the pearls flying everywhere. This is something ripped straight out of the comic books, and I thought it was beautifully shot. We also see the Dark Knight Returns iconic pose, the one that we've seen in the trailers, of course, which is the pose from the comic books in which he's jumping in the air with the lightning in the background. While it's not exactly how it plays out in the comic books, it is that exact pose, and it's something, as a fanboy of comic books and everything, that I appreciate so much. We also see in this film, through the Dark Knight Returns suit, that he indeed has these spiked boots like he does in the comic books. And a nice little nod to the comic books, in this film, Superman blocks a kick from Batman, whereas in the Dark Knight Returns comic, he just gets kicked in the face. We also see during the fight with Doomsday that Superman is hit from a nuke, and he has this lifeless body that's just complete skin and bones, just like how it is in the comic books. Of course, not played out exactly how it is, but very much similar, as he regains his abilities through the power of the sun. And last but certainly not least, in terms of Dark Knight Returns imagery, we also see the kryptonite shot. While it doesn't play out exactly how it does in the comics, like most of the things here, it's very similar, as Superman blocks a shot of something and a blast of kryptonite comes out of it, and then what follows after that is just a complete ass kicking. Now let's talk about the nightmare sequence. Through this nightmare sequence, we of course see the Flash make his appearance in what seems to be a nod to the Crisis on Infinite Earths. While it's not exactly how it is, where it's just this decaying Flash, trying to warn Bruce Wayne, it's very much so how it is in the comics, where the Flash is coming to the future or to the past to warn Batman about the future. In this nightmare sequence, there are also plenty of nods to Darkseid with his Omega symbol planted in the ground. We see the parademons show up, one of them actually knocking out Batman, and we also see fire pits coming out from the ground, very much so how it is on Apokolips, possibly hinting to the fact that Apokolips has terraformed with Earth in this dystopian future. Moving on, we got a heap of Justice League cameos through a moment in the film where Wonder Woman inspects one of Lex Luthor's, hidden files in which he has stuff on all the Justice League members, including Wonder Woman herself, where we see a picture of her from 1918 with Chris Pine's Steve Trevor, who will be showing up in the film. Alongside that, we see some video surveillance of the Flash stopping a robbery in a convenience store. We see Aquaman coming out of the water with his glowing blue eyes and his trident attacking this camera that's inspecting him. And then, of course, the Easter egg or the cameo that had a lot of people asking questions, Cyborg's cameo, including the Mother Box. Now, the Mother Box was that weird little thing that was floating around and then ended up going onto Cyborg and forming the rest of his body, bringing him back to life, which is one of the abilities that the Mother Box has. The Mother Box is essentially this supercomputer designed with a ton of different abilities, one of which, of course, is regeneration. But one of the main abilities that this Mother Box has is the ability of teleportation through boom tubes. Now, what are boom tubes? Well, it's basically what Darkseid uses to teleport from place to place, and every time this thing starts to teleport or starts using that ability to teleport, the Mother Box makes this sound where it goes like ping, 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 or ding, 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 which is, of course, a nod to what Lex Luthor says at the end of the film when he says he's coming and he's hungry, and then he starts going ding, 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 ding. Interestingly enough, today, a new deleted scene from Batman v Superman dropped online, which included a first look at Steppenwolf. Steppenwolf is a general working for Darkseid. He's also Darkseid's uncle in the comic books, and he contains 3 Mother Boxes in his possession, from what we can see of that little glimpse at him. So it's safe to assume that the way Darkseid arrives to Earth is through this beacon that Lex Luthor has sent to them, and they use the Mother Box to make their arrival. We also see throughout this film one of Bruce's other nightmares that he has is Man-Bat, or at least a nod to the character itself. As Bruce goes to pay his respects to his parents, he sees some blood coming out of Martha's grave, and then a giant bat bursts through it. Now, like I said, while it might not be Man-Bat himself, it's obviously a reference to the character, as that character is just a giant monster bat. And it's the second time that something Batman-related has provided a jump scare with a giant freaking bat. Now, not only did villains like Man-Bat get a nod in this film, but the Riddler also got a nod, as one of his question marks was graffitied in this film on a pillar in the abandoned warehouse that Batman was using to set up all his traps before his fight with Superman. This was confirmed by someone who worked on the film. I don't know if it was Zack Snyder or not, that it is indeed a Riddler question mark, and Zack Snyder did confirm himself a few days ago that Riddler and Joker were originally planned to be in this film, but of course that was later decided not to happen. There's also some other Easter eggs with graffiti, as one thing on the wall in a blink and you'll miss it moment in the film says, "Who watches the Watchmen?" in Latin. This is, of course, an Easter egg to a previously directed film from Zack Snyder, Watchmen. Great film, honestly, a masterpiece if you're asking me. Moving on, Carrie Ferris makes another return in this film, played by the same actress. For those of you who don't know, Carrie Ferris, or Carol Ferris as she's called in the comics, later becomes the Star Sapphire, who has both been an ally and enemy to the Green Lantern. I think bringing back this actress and this character for the second time sort of makes me think that they're hinting that this character will become who she becomes in the comic books later on in this DC cinematic universe. Now, also, we get plenty of hints to Batman's fighting style, as it very much mirrors the Arkham style with fighting. We get almost a glimpse at a quickfire gadget as he uses the Batclaw to bring someone towards him and punches him away. It's such an awesome moment. It made me think right away of the Arkham games. And last but certainly not least, we got our first look at Jimmy Olsen in this film, and our last look at him as he's been killed in the beginning of the film, being the one to be helping Lois Lane. He is a CIA agent, as Zack Snyder says, and Jesse Eisenberg himself was originally supposed to play that role, but then they realized he was too big of an actor to have just been killed off so abruptly in the beginning of the film. I think they shouldn't have killed this character off in general. It would have been so cool to have this Jimmy Olsen character as a CIA agent working with Superman, similarly to how Gordon works with Batman. I thought that would have been fantastic. But yes, Zack Snyder confirmed it online. He also says that there's a deleted scene in the Ultimate Cut in which the actor approaches Lois Lane and introduces himself as Jimmy Olsen. And that, my friends, concludes most, if not all, the Easter eggs that I could find in Batman v Superman with my repeat viewings of the film. If there are some Easter eggs that I missed, please leave your thoughts in the comments section below. That's what they're there for. I'm CaboosXBL. Please follow me on Instagram and Twitter and like me on Facebook. Those links are in the description. Drop a like if you enjoyed, leave a comment if you have an opinion, and subscribe if you're new. See you guys later.